This news program is proudly brought to you by
Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits
and Now Biscuits.
Local drug trafficking concerns raised. Barrick New Guinea not trespassing. And authorities urge to speed up process of disability bill. A very good evening. This is National EMTV News. I'm Grace Papiali. Thank you for joining us. Drug trafficking in PNG has been going on for years, especially in the rural parts of the country, where police presence is little to none. Although this is an illegal and even risky business, people in the rural community see this as a lucrative business.
These pictures were taken on Wednesday this week. These are youths from Marawaka in the Eastern Highlands province, including other parts of the Highlands region, transiting through Meniamia in rural Morobe, right through to Kaintiba in Gulf province, and then to Daru in the Western province to sell these illicit drugs. In an exclusive phone interview with EMTV News Today, former District Administrator of Meniamia, Nicholas Abraham, spoke about how these local drug traffickers, consisting of men, women and children, walk for days to meet their buyers.
They travel through this bush trek. So they come through Marawaka, then come through towards the southwest Meniamia. It's kind of Kunai Pets area as well as Jangkor. So, like currently I'm in the village where there's no access to road. The nearest road access is Menyamne Station and Kopralimi Station. Akwange, these are two neighboring villages. But from Marawaka they come through and they come and sleep in my village. And from here it takes about 2 to 3 days to reach the nearest river and delta where they can get a boat down to Karama town, or from there, they kind of split. Some they go by a boat to Vaimuru or Kikori and towards Western Province.
Mr. Abraham, who is now retired and in his local village of Lagai, Ward 14, further said this movement of local drug traffickers has gained momentum simply because of its lucrative markets.
This month, his numbers have passed through, almost totaling some 40 to 60 people. Men also involved. Yesterday's trip, they were I didn't see them, but what my villagers saw, they were totaling up to some 30 plus people, including 2 ladies. They were carrying huge packs in cartons.
Government services, according to Abraham, only exist in the district headquarters in Meniamia, which is about a day's walk from his village, Lagai Ward 14, which is squashed in between Meniamia and Kaintiba in rural Gulf. Abraham says it will be encouraging to see police presence in the area as this illegal movement of local drug traffickers is becoming a daily routine passing through his village, and the momentum of these drug traffickers is increasing by the day. He explained that these local drug traffickers say this is a good source of income for their families. However, these men, women and children need to be properly educated on the effects of this illicit drug, marijuana, and be stopped. Lindy Suharupa, National EMTV News.
Porgera Gold Mine developer Barrick New Guinea Limited, BNL, is aware that unauthorized bodies, including the RE7 group of companies, are advertising for expressions of interest for contracts with the Porgera Gold Mine when it reopens. These advertisements have not been sanctioned or approved by BNL, and the company wishes to draw to the attention of any parties which may be interested in contracts when the mine reopens to BNL's policy on Porgera mine contracts.
Barrick New Guinea Limited has advised the general public that BNL is solely responsible for the sourcing and awarding of goods and services contracts for the Porgera gold mine. The developer BNL stands by Barrick's global procurement standards and code of business conduct and ethics at all times. The restart of the Porgera gold mine remains subject to the satisfaction of a number of conditions. Therefore, BNL has not yet advertised or requested for expressions of interest for long-term contracts. Any commitment made by entities or persons other than BNL in respect of the Porgera gold mine are not binding and will not be honoured by BNL. Tenders for long-term contracts where the goods or services are procurable within PNG will be advertised publicly and directly by BNL and will include technical and other specifications. BNL does not anticipate a significant number of tenders will be released prior to the restart schedule being agreed where the goods and services are procurable within PNG. It has always been BNL's intention to involve genuine Porgera-owned and based businesses, followed by Anglian-owned and based businesses, in business development opportunities that meet their tender specifications, are commercially competitive and meet their delivery requirements. Rocky Iso, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, Porgera Landowners Association Treasurer and clan leader Nixon Mangape is calling on the government and police hierarchy to impose a shoot-to-kill order for those causing problems in the township of Porgera. Mangape said the people are already frustrated at the continued lawlessness in the province, and a state of emergency imposed will be a waste of time and more resources and more action and attention by the government and Governor Peter Ipatas must be given.
Enough is enough. Whoever is walk around with a dangerous weapon, me talk, especially Porgera. Porgera im garan ka oblong country na engana ograp. So gan mane kama borse warlord na kama viroya. Mila prime minister you making law shoot to kill. You are no you pabor ngene you bigger lo Porgera sa you are to plomena surrender volcan you carry him around na shoot him man na revi merista bia. No god me asking kama you making decision lo shoot to kill. Enough is enough.
For special mining lease landowners, clan agents of the new Porgera Landowners Association, supported by community leaders, have distanced themselves from their association treasurer Nixon Mangape on the issues he raised through media recently that Barrick New Guinea Limited was trespassing.
The four agents, Joe Kale, Max Piawene, Peyako Yope, and Filipene Payakape, supported by SML councillor Peleke Ayapa and Stephen Mangape, said Mr. Nixon Mangape acted without the consent of other Porgera Landowner Association leaders, including themselves. Mr. Nixon Mangape, who is one of the agents, recently claimed that Barrick New Guinea Limited, which is currently managing the mine site under care and maintenance status, was trespassing customary land since the special mining lease 1 expired. Mr. Mangape gave Barrick 14 days notice to stop work and demanded 400 million kina as compensation for alleged trespassing. The four agents and community leaders led by Mr. Kale said that Mr. Mangape did not represent the views of the entire association and that the views expressed in the media were Mr. Nixon Mangape's own.
I'm all right, but look at me, I mean the talk sabi me. Now me blind no be only one meeting, even chairman blow me, lo pilo, Mark Tony Reba, I mean no talk sabi me, I mean no be na only one special meeting or a one again.
The leaders also explained that the association did not have an official meeting as required by the association's constitution to agree on the 14 days stop work and the 400 million kina demand from Barrick New Guinea Limited for alleged trespassing.
Mibla people bro program mibla tingo sen mibla tinting lo bin mine. Obin mine nariap people die. Fight work like ma big bla school bagarab, ausik bagarab, bank bagarab, plant your guitar, what will die or similar.
The leaders also urged Mr. Mangape to work with the rest of the association executives and the chairman, Ekapa, and prepare for the reopening of the mine. They said it was critical that the association's leadership be stable, united and focused on preparing for the development forum that is coming soon.
I think Umi Maki Mall or some 25 agents Mipla, representing Mipla all 10,000 plus population plus. Mipla got on our man staff, which is PLOA. Na only nablo sida lo dislausman, good lo nungut, all can win.
Meanwhile, MTV News received a statement through the media office of Barrack New Guinea, and under the Pogera Project Commencement Agreement, all parties, including the state and Mineral Resources Enga Limited, agreed that Barrack New Guinea was to remain in possession of the Pogera mine site and would continue to maintain the mine on a care and maintenance basis until new Pogera commences, which will happen upon the grant of the new SML and satisfaction of the other conditions to mine restart under the PPCA. Mr. Nixon Mangape himself signed the PPCA on behalf of the Mineral Resources Enga. So any suggestion that Barrack New Guinea Limited is trespassing on the land is simply wrong and inconsistent with the PPCA, which he personally signed. Rocky Iso, National MTV News.
Papua LNG has signed a memorandum of understanding with the National Volunteer Services and Gulf Provincial Administration for an education program to be rolled out in Wabo and Evara primary schools respectively. This initiative will also see an extension of the adult literacy program in the project impact areas in Gulf Province.
Lack of teachers in rural schools has been a grave concern, and Total Energies has taken the responsibility to provide educational programs and services to the people of Gulf. The objective of this initiative is to make education accessible to all and to improve the quality by providing support to teachers through wages and logistics, amongst other support, in the hope of encouraging teachers to remain in rural Gulf to educate the children and adults there. Biodiversity, Societal and Environment Director for Total Energies PNG, Mari Alix Donning, said that what often hinders teachers from staying is either lack of support from the local community or difficulty to travel home on a regular basis. She further said teachers must be provided with sufficient and acceptable working conditions. Societal Manager David Dosset described the MOU signing as a renewal of a long-term partnership between the Papua LNG project and the National Volunteer Service, adding that the project will also be providing stationery, solar lamps and transport for the teachers. National Volunteer Service Board Chairman Bennett Maladina stated that they will ensure the NVS will sustain this program by getting the right volunteers to match the community's needs and try to support provinces as well, so the volunteers can then be engaged by the provincial governments. According to Total Energies PNG, the NVS partnership is based on a long-term relationship which will lead to new programs. Lindy Suharupa, National MTV News.
National MTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. You're watching National MTV News. The Committee of PNG Assembly of Disabled Persons, Call-in Services National Unit, and the Christian Blind Mission have called on the Department of Community Development, Youth and Religion to speed up the process so that the disability bill can be tabled in Parliament. They said they have been doing enough consultations for several years since 2018, and it's time now to pass the bill.
Those who have just come in.
The female co-chair of PNG Assembly of Disabled Persons, Jacqueline Garwao, says they need to have a committee for persons with disabilities in all the districts and provinces. She says they will give more prominence to the establishment of the provincial and district structures in terms of service delivery and ensuring that disability inclusion is prominent if the disability service is passed as a legislation.
And you would all be aware that the Department for Community Development and Religion has that they as the focal government disability, the focal point for disability in government. They are the ones responsible for liaising with the Office of Legislative Council, and they're the ones who have to push this work forward. So for our part at PNG ADP, we have been reminding them that we want to see this bill passed in 2023. Hopeful that if this bill gets passed, and hopefully in 2023, all these things we are talking about, having provincial and district committees on disabilities established in the provinces will become a reality.
The chairman of PNG Blind Union, Kuman Wasup, also appealed to the government if it can focus on disability-specific rehabilitation services.
You see the statistics of persons with disability in Papua New Guinea. It's about 15%. So 15% of PNG's or Papua New Guinea's population is about almost 1 million population. That is persons with disability. And out of that 15%, only 1% are very severe. They have a disability that is very severe, and they every day they have been cared by their parents or their guardians. They cannot do anything, so they have been supported. And in NCD, you'll find most of them in social disability services. So out of that 15%, the 14% are very mobile and they are effective. They come out and they participate like us. We come out and we interact with the community, with the society. So one of the challenges that we have now is disability-specific rehabilitation services.
They said their voices can be heard if only they have a disability ministerial position in the parliament, where the responsible minister would be able to provide the kind of services they need. Esther Gane, National EMTV News.
The chairman of the PNG Blind Union, Kaman Wasup, said some of the persons with disabilities are active and hardworking who can contribute meaningfully and effectively to this nation, but the things that limit them are the barriers like the attitude of the people towards the persons with disabilities, communication, environmental and statutory barriers. He called on the responsible organizations and every individual to work together collectively and collaboratively to address these barriers.
Mr. Wasup says one of the biggest things that segregate PWDs to participate more meaningfully and effectively to the communities is the accessibility to certain infrastructures.
It's like environmental barrier, more specifically around buildings and infrastructure. How can persons with disabilities participate meaningfully if we have challenges around accessibility to buildings and infrastructure? So that's one of the issues that we must talk about to see persons with disabilities participate.
He says people have to understand that disability is not part of the person, but it's an external factor, and they should be treated equally as any able-bodied person.
People or perception of people towards persons with vision impairment and persons with disabilities in general. So that is one of the biggest barrier. Almost 70 to 80% that we face challenges, because when they see persons with disabilities, they think that they cannot contribute, they cannot participate effectively in the society. So when they have the approach towards persons with disabilities, then they already created the segregation, or they created barrier for persons with disabilities to meaningfully and effectively participate like anyone else in the society.
He also added that different classes of different impairments have different levels and ways of communicating, and encouraged all to work together for the good of all. He also stressed that a lot of services for PWDs are set up in the urban areas, and there is nothing provided for the ones living in rural areas in the country.
The barrier as well is communication that is also inserted into the video, so all of us can watch and see how best we can also address communication barrier.
Different classes of different disability have different levels and ways of communication. So how can we make the print media, how can we make information accessible to different classes of disability? We have to work together so that persons with disabilities can bring out their expertise and talk about how best we can work to address.
Estagane, National EMTV News.
Local leaders of Kaminimbit village in the Engaram local level government under the Engaram district of East Sepik province are calling on responsible authorities to visit their village to verify possible petroleum oil shield spill at a pond. A village clan leader, Ronnie Bowie, made a plea on behalf of the people.
A new site of possible petroleum oil sheen spill was sighted at a pond 4 kilometers opposite the village after continuous earthquakes struck the villages along the Sepik River since mid-last month. Ronnie Bowie said locals believe the continuous earthquakes felt might have triggered this oil sheen spill. He said they had reported to certain authorities of a similar sighting back in 2010 at a small lake just 2 kilometers to the left of the current site, but not much had been done to assess the site. They are yet to verify whether the oil sheen is caused by presence of hydrocarbons or by other factors. Bowie said 2 weeks ago, 21 elderly men from their village came into direct contact with this sheen, and all of them had developed some type of waterborne skin diseases. Representatives from East Sepik Provincial Health Authority and Water Aid visited the village on Wednesday to collect samples of the oil sheen. As a clan leader, Bowie said the villagers are urging responsible authorities like the National Petroleum and Minerals Department and the Environment and Conservation Department to visit Kaminimbit village to help them understand this phenomenon. Natasha Ovoy, National EMTV News.
Central Province Governor Rufina Peter yesterday officiated the opening ceremony of the newly refurbished Governor's Office at the Konidobo in Port Moresby. Present alongside her and part of the esteemed guests for the occasion was the Deputy Head of Mission with the Australian High Commission, Dr. Joanne Londes.
Governor Peter, in her remarks, expressed what prompted her to ensure the Central Governor's Office gets the renovation attention it very much needed.
The first two places I inspected were the Governor's Residence and the Governor's Office. Two fundamentally significant institutional buildings of the Office of the Governor in any province, and thus the provincial government, the provincial assembly, and the people of the province. To be honest, I was shocked to see the appalling state of both buildings, reflecting gross negligence by those responsible, both in government and administration.
She added that with this refurbishment, such negligence should not be repeated in future. Governor Peter expressed that she aims to be a good example to others going forward to inspire the mentality of being people-centered rather than being self-centered in the public sector.
Going forward, it is my responsibility as governor to set the standards and lead by example, before demanding the same standards of my staff, of the Central Province Administration staff, the contractors and other service providers.
She went on to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Londes and commended Australia's assistance to PNG. The Governor made a sincere request on behalf of the people of Central to the Deputy Head of Mission.
Hence, I take this opportunity to ask the Australian government, through you, Dr. Joanne Londes, to consider a special project in funding the establishment of the seat of government for Central Province in Central Province. Preferably during my term as Governor of Central Province.
In response, Dr. Londes acknowledged the request made by the governor and commended the people of Central for choosing Rufina Peter as their governor.
I have taken your message, Governor, and the request to the Australian government about considering a special project. So I will take that back to the High Commission. No commitments, of course, but I've got the message. I'm really pleased. The Australian government and the Australian High Commission have been really pleased to work with the governor in the first part of her term to be able to support her ideas, support her drive. And I look forward to the next 5 years of working with you as you take your commitments forward.
Natasha Ovoy, National EMTV News.
National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to National EMTV News. Kido Primary School on Kido Island of Central Province finally has a new library building after operating without a library for more than 60 years. The library was fully funded and built by New Power at the cost of 400,000 kina and was officially opened on Thursday.
The staff and management from New Power traveled by boat across to the Kido Island and were welcomed by the Kido community with traditional singing and dancing. This library was built by New Power under their community investment program, which is all about giving back to the community.
It's of Kido Island.
The headmaster of Kido Primary School, Douglas Benoni, stressed that this library is very important, not only for the students but to the teachers as well, as it will be a resource that is very much needed for a school environment. He also highlighted that donation of books is a major challenge that they are faced with in the school and not many people reach out to them.
It's been taking us a long time. I would say almost, 10 years to bid for this library. Because since I became a teacher in 2015, we started bidding for a library until at last year, and today we had the final one. As we know, land problem. I think through the agreement of the community to keep this place for such a big library for us. And it's a first of its kind, as expressed by our guests today, first of its kind in Central Province to have such a building, which is very important for the community and also the students and teaching staff.
The finance manager of New Power, Agnes Joanna, says New Power has focus areas which include education, health, farming, sports and others.
7 focus areas, of which education is one. And last year we decided we should build libraries in all the 5 villages, which is Kido, Lelea, Papa, Boira and Poribada. So we've started with the furthest, which is Kido. Apart from education or libraries, we help with clinics as well. We've supplied vaccine fridges for all the 8 posts located in those 5 villages.
She encouraged the students and teachers to look after the new building. The school board and the headmaster, together with the elites of the island, have plans to upgrade the status of this primary school to junior high school in the near future. Esther Gane, National EMTV News.
Now moving to overseas news. Due to lack of ammunition, a Russian mercenary group in Ukraine has announced that it will be withdrawing from the front line.
Russia's Wagner mercenary group has announced preparations to withdraw its fighters from the city of Bakhmut. The group's leader, Yevgeny Prigozhin, released a video directed at Russia's military leadership threatening to withdraw his troops on May 10th. He says while Russia's military commanders in Moscow are enjoying comforts, his fighters are dying due to a lack of ammunition.
My guys will not suffer useless and unjustified losses in Bakhmut without ammunition. Therefore, on May 10th, we will leave the settlement. We still have to take around 2 kilometers out of 45. But if you don't want to give victory to the Russians in the capture of Bakhmut because of your petty envy, then these are your problems.
The World Health Organization has worked against complacency despite declaring that COVID-19 is no longer a global health emergency.
Since the pandemic was first declared in January 2020, nearly 7 million people have died from the virus across the globe. The organisation's Director General says countries must remain alert.
The worst thing any country could do now is to use this news as a reason to let down its guard, to dismantle the systems it has built, or to send the message to its people that COVID-19 is nothing to worry about.
National EMTV News continues after the break with Trukai Sports. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The Capital Rugby Union Clinic completed its day 3 sessions today at Bava Park in Port Moresby. Joining the Port Moresby Capital Rugby Union officials in the Rugby Development Officer for Morobe Province, Robin Tarere. Robin Tarere will be here in Port Moresby until next Tuesday to grab an idea or two out of these sessions to bring back to his rugby union community in Morobe Province.
The main drive that the Morobe Rugby Development Officer Robin Tarere is much interested in is how advanced the duo professional rugby union elites Aidan Toa and Paddy Ryan have been imparting to the rugby union community their vast experiences.
Thanks, straight across. Okay, so this one.
He says this will provide a first-hand exposure to the participants as well as bring the bar of the code to a more professional level.
From a different perspective, they've got a bit of other skills that is more bit advanced than what we are doing at the moment. So with Ryan, Eddie and Aiden coming up and doing this session will be adds value to our training, the sessions. Yeah.
Tarere says he is adamant of bringing back to Morobe these high-level experiences and skills to upskill and better the game in his domain.
Bring it back and share it with the teachers, the coaches, and also adjust to our training, how we train our players in the clubs and also the schools.
Tarere oversees the scrummage department of rugby union in Morobe and is also a development officer. His share of the workload is to ensure that not only players but coaches, referees and other officials receive the necessary upskilling that they would need to collectively utilize in upholding and improving the code of a rugby union in Morobe Province. Lisa Puni, Trukai Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The revamped PNG Open Golf Tournament, which started on Thursday, completed its round 3 today. Out of the 84 players that have initially registered, 58 have made it to the halfway lead, as few of them are in no luck to win.
Today witnessed round 3 of the PNG Open Golf Tournament, and 58 top players have jumped onto the halfway mark as the remaining lot are likely to be unlucky in this year's playoff. Media officer for Golf Australia, Jimmy Emanuel, highlighted on the progress of the tournament during the past 2 days leading up to round 3 today.
So we're 3 rounds in, and Chris Wood from Queensland leads the PNG Open, and he's 9 under par with 2-shot lead over Lachlan Barker from South Australia. So some good scores out there. They're about to get started for their 3rd rounds and then final round on tomorrow.
Jimmy also highlighted that the tournament has so far been successful all throughout and thanked the Royal Port Moresby Golf Club management for a job well done.
It's been a very successful week. All the players are really enjoying themselves, and Royal Port Moresby's put on a great event, and the golf course has been fantastic. And yeah, we love being here and coming and playing a tournament in Papua New Guinea.
Tomorrow is the last day of the tournament, and they look forward to a competitive showdown as this season's winner will be announced. Lisa Puni, Trukai Sports.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The Money Plus weather report is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Money Plus, with you always.
Now we take a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. In southern region, Port Moresby City, cloudy periods with few showers and possible thunderstorms. Popondetta, cloudy periods with few showers and thunderstorms. In Momasa region, Lay City, partly cloudy. Vanimo, cloudy with some showers and possible thunderstorms. In the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau, becoming cloudy with few showers and possible thunderstorms. Buka, cloudy periods with few showers and possible thunderstorms. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen City, cloudy periods with brief showers. Mendi and Wabeg, cloudy periods with some showers and possible thunderstorms.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by Money Plus, with you always.
And that wraps up the news, sports and weather for Saturday, the 6th of May, 2023. From all of us here, pleasant viewing. Bye for now.
This news program was proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Gold Nuggets.